What up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Funboxing with Will. I'm your host, Will, with H2O Co. Film and Photos, and today, instead of doing our normal review or unboxing of a product that we usually do, I'm going to do more tutorials. I'm going to throw in some tutorials here and there to my channel just because I wanted to add more value to the content I bring you guys. So if you guys are new to filmmaking, photography, anything like that, I'm going to be doing some tutorials here and there. I'm going to sprinkle those in with the reviews that I do normally. And today is going to be the first tutorial that I'm going to be doing. We're going to be talking about what is a histogram, how to use it, and what it does. So let's get into that. Alrighty, now before we go ahead and start talking about these histograms, I want you to hit that like and subscribe button, but only if you find any of this content at all useful or valuable to you. I really appreciate all my viewers, and if you do want to see more content, tech reviews, unboxings, or tutorials in the future, go ahead and hit that notification bell down below, and that way you can get notified when I put out a new video. So getting into today's subject, we're going to be talking about histograms. What are they, what they do, and how they can help you. So here is a histogram. That's what they look like, and now I'm not sure exactly on a lot of cameras how to access the histogram, as I am a Canon shooter, but I know as far as Canons go, it's really simple. All you have to do is hit the information button and it'll pop up on the screen whether you are in video record mode or if you're in photo mode. Either way, it'll work. So essentially, to keep it as simple as possible, I like to think of the histogram as a picture of my sensor on my camera, essentially. Now, I drew up a little version of the chart for myself for you guys to show you guys. I hope I got it right. I had to do it backwards because of the camera angle and the reversed image. So bear with me, I'm just hoping that I get this accurate here. So, this is going to be your histogram here. Now, if you'll notice, I have different colors representing different things. So the black is going to be the black is going to be your darks. This is complete darks in the image. This is going to be the red, the orange is going to be your light colors in the image. And then the blue is going to be your midtones in the image. Now, from the top to the bottom, we start at 0 here and move up to the max number of focus points or points, megapixels in your sensor, and then going from the darks to the lights, this is going to be your luminance value here. So if you have a image that is super dark, or say you're photographing something that has a lot of dark in the image, like a tire, for instance. These are the two examples I'm going to use: a tire and a snowy scene, like say your driveway covered in snow. So when we go to the tire, you're going to have a lot of black in that image. So what the histogram is going to more or less look like is going to be this black line right here. Let me see if I can get this accurate. This black line right here, that would be what I think a histogram would look like if I was going to take a photo of a tire. Now, on the opposite end of that, if I was going to take a picture of, let's just say, nothing but a snowy field or a snowy driveway, I'm going to get more of a histogram that looks like this, with my brights up in the top and peaking, because there are going to be more brights in that image than there are darks in that image.
So as you can see here, this is the histogram, and pretty much basically what the histogram does is it gives you a decided area of where your bright levels sit and where your dark levels sit. Each one of these little spikes in this graph right here essentially is a pixel count of how many midtones. On the far right you have your brights, and on the far left you have your darks. So if you have a lot of overexposed areas in your scene, you'll see a spike. Like you'll notice as I increase the ISO, the spikes move towards the right significantly, and that indicates that there's a lot of blown out, overexposed pixels. Now, as the same, if I move it back down and I drop down my exposure back down to, let's say, under 100, those lines move significantly to the right there, and those lines indicate that there are more dark pixels in the scene than there are light. And if I go further with it and say I turn up my shutter speed, you can see a lot of that spiking in the histogram itself is facing the dark side, the left side, which is the darks in the scene.
So the histogram is going to move accordingly to that. Now, for the most part, you want to get your midtones to peak. You want your midtones to be the brightest in the entire scene. That way that you don't blow out your highlights and you don't crush your shadows. So for the ideal histogram image, you're going to want it to look something like the blue line here, where it peaks in the center and comes down on each end, so that you don't have a lot of soul-crushing blacks or totally bright, blinding blowouts in your exposure. Now, there are certain situations where you won't be able to change that, as in, like I said, with the snow-covered driveway. If you're going to take an image of a snow-covered driveway, even if you turn down your ISO all the way down and turn down your shutter speed or crank that sucker up, eventually the screen will go black, yes, and you will get a completely crushed out histogram. But it's going to take a while, and when it gets to that point, you're not going to be able to pick up anything in that image. So at the same time, if you had an image of something in a dark room, you're gonna get a more of a black sloping shadow in your histogram. So in certain situations, you can't do anything about that. But for the most part, if you have a well-balanced scene or a well-balanced image you're trying to take, you're going to have what looks like this blue line here in the center here. And you might have some bright parts of the image, so you're going to see some spikes here, and you might have some dark parts of the image, so you'll see a couple spikes here. But the majority of your overall image, if it's well balanced, will be spiked in the mid-tone range of the histogram. So I hope that helps try to stop some confusion. I know that people can be intimidated when they switch that manual button onto their camera and they veer off from the automatic settings for the first time. It can be intimidating and it can be scary, but a lot of these settings that they have in the cameras, like zebra stripes, the histogram, false colors, those are there to help you. They're there to help you get that perfect exposure. And when you're using your histogram, you really can lock in that exposure to right where you want it 100% of the time, which gives you an advantage over shooting in automatic all of the time, because you can actually give different feelings to your footage, gloomy, upbeat, depending on what you're trying to convey to the audience, through something as subtle as the white balance or the exposure of the image. So it is really awesome for the first time getting out of that automatic mode, and hopefully these tips that I gave you here today will be of some use. If there's anything that I didn't clearly state, or if you have any questions, if it was confusing at all, I do apologize. It's the first time I've tried to do a tutorial here, so I'm learning as well. But hopefully some of that information helped you guys out in understanding what a histogram is and what it can do for you and to help you benefit with your footage. Other than that, I'm going to be doing that EOS R review here coming up soon, probably the end of this week. So if you're interested in that, stay tuned for that. And then I just wanted to tell you guys, I hope you guys have a great day. Be safe out there, and above all, stay creative, my friends. We need more of that out there in this world. So you guys have a great day, and until next time.